Well, what's going on, Facebook family? It's your main man, Joe Dupree, in the building. Of course, 7 minutes behind the clock time of 7 o'clock. 7 minutes late. It's all on me. I had some technical issues, but we got that all ironed out. That's how it goes when it goes down south here at 100 BLK, the Black Station, straight out of the NO, Lafayette, Louisiana. And I would not be on the scene if I didn't have my brother from another mother who's in the building. I let him introduce himself. My brother, what's happening with you, baby?
Brother Fatine, what's happening, baby? Good to be with you another Tuesday evening, Brother Joe. I'm coming to you live from, this is the second week in Florence, South Carolina. And look forward to having some great conversation tonight. I'm doing a little double duty, doing a little this and doing a little that. But hey, that's how I do it, man. And that's where we at.
We getting it in. So Brother Fatim had spoke to me, and we're going to get into some very good conversation. I'm just doing a little work right here. Share this with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get on this one, because tonight we're going to do something that we have never in our broadcast done before. And that is, we're going to allow you, the people who join in on our cast, if you want to, you can jump in on the video too. So tonight we're going there. We're going to take it to a whole different level. So family, tonight we're going to be into a conversation I think we all can appreciate, that we all will be hopefully open to talk about. And that is, are we as a people, as a culture, are we the problem? Are we the problem? You know, we're always talking about everybody else. But the question is, have we taken time out to look at the man in the mirror? And are we the problem? So that's what we're going to be proposing today. Are we the problem? We already got people jumping on. So Rhonda's up in here. Good evening. Hey, good evening to you too, Rhonda. Listen, we want you to share this with a friend. Tell a friend to tell a friend. To be exact, let me go ahead and put this up right now so you know. If you want to join in on the video, that's what you need to type into your browser. I'm going to leave that up for a minute while I share this with a few folks. Fatim, talk to me, man. How your day been going?
It's been busy, brother. Always busy, man. But it's been a good day. Always. I do a lot. I wear a lot of hats. And working at, as folks know, I work at WBLS. I produce 2 nationally syndicated shows for Reverend Al Sharpton. I produce 2 podcasts for the National Urban League, and one went tonight dealing with marijuana legalization at 6 p.m. on the National Urban League Instagram page. And we had 2 special guests that come on to talk about it. And talking about marijuana legalization from the perspective, there has to be equity. Because at the end of the day, Black and brown folks have been disproportionately penalized because of marijuana. And now marijuana is going legal state by state by state. And folks have had records, have been locked up because of marijuana, and you have to expunge their records. So that I'm here doing this. I got something else to do after this. So it's just been a busy day. But to jump right on in here, as we talked about this, the man in the mirror, and Michael Jackson made that song, that man in the mirror, we have to look ourselves in the mirror. We are our own problem. And I think it's hard to, in a short period of time, try to explain this. And one thing we're not going to do is sit up here and be professors to our listening audience. But what we will say is that we understand systemic racism. We understand what was done to us. We know post-traumatic slavery syndrome. And even though it was done to our ancestors, it triggers down. It's like a domino effect, and it falls down even on future generations, even on us. But the things that we can control, the things that we know that is right from wrong, when we know that we can do better, when we know that we don't have to pick up guns, we don't need to sell drugs to each other, our brothers and sisters out there, that's when we have to look at it and not weaponize each other and not weaponize the Black community, but look at our community as a collective, deal with our community. Don't let outsiders come in and deal with our community. We deal with our community and deal with self. But it starts with self. And yeah, we got to look ourselves in the mirror. And yes, a lot of ills that we do to self and each other is caused by us. And we use excuses sometimes to blame others for our misfortunes that we bring on ourselves.
Yeah, so family, I mean, we're really going to get into this conversation. I'm going to post this right here. If you want to join in, if you want to get in on the video and speak to us, you can. I'm actually putting the link in right now. So listen, family, the reason I ask this is many a times I think we get the okey doke. We get okey doke by other folks. They only highlight us as the problem when it really benefits them in the end. And we need to start really being more cognizant to what's really going on and start self-examining ourselves and saying, look, what can we do to correct ourselves and get it together that folk don't have to come in from other places to all of a sudden, you know, be the ones that come and guide us out of whatever situation we're in. You know, things have just got to get better. And family, I was listening to some Tupac, and the gratuitous use of the N word and the B word. You know, how can we demand other folks respect us when it seems like we don't respect ourselves? So how do you feel about that? Because once again, I understand because of where we come from and what has occurred and what has been happening. I truly understand that a lot of this comes from where we came from the slavery, from the slave masters, from the situations like that. But we've got to, we got to do better, family. Once again, let me post this and put it up there where you can see it. Uh, if you want to join in, put that into your browser. You can put that into your phone browser. You can put that into your Chrome browser. You can put that into your Safari, and you can join in on the video and we can get into the conversation, because tonight we want you to be an interactive part of everything we're doing right here on Community Conversation, because it is you, the community, that we're talking to. We're talking about, just like today with the Gruden situation. You talked to Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn made a statement and said, man, Gruden always been like that. But you see what they brought out first. They brought out first about the person of color that he had a problem with. When the truth about it is, it was the good old boy system and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, family, how do we start addressing situations to bring about real change amongst ourselves and in our community for team?
Well, I think it's a mindset. You talked about, you listened to Tupac. I listened to Tupac yesterday myself. It's interesting. Yeah, and we didn't talk yet. I mean, if we spoke yesterday, we didn't talk about music from that perspective. And I threw a little Tupac on because I knew, I didn't know Tupac, but I knew his mother and I knew some of his folks. Matter of fact, some of his mother folks gave me protection in Brooklyn as a young teenager out there in Flatbush at one time. It starts with a mindset, Joe, and I'm not going to take away, when you say the N word and the B word and we calling each other. And yes, we shouldn't degrade ourselves. But I think at the end of the day, when we're talking to each other, maybe subliminary, but we talked about how in the 70s, the N word, and even now in hip hop, it's more of a kind. It doesn't have the negative effect that it had before, from the perspective of sometime when we use it against each other, not in a negative way. If somebody in another culture use it against us in a negative way, or just using it just to be slang, we as Black folk get offensive about it. So it's hard to ride the fence on that. So when folks say we can't ride the fence on it, they say that we need to cut it out, because if we cut it out, then we are showing the example of that. But again, it comes down to our actions, what we do to one another. It's an action. If it's words, if you shoot, you disrespect, that's what it's about. And I don't know what causes us to do it. I remember watching the movie about Tookie Williams. They had the guy that created one of the gangs. I don't know if it was the Crips or the Bloods. Jamie Foxx was playing him, and somebody asked, why do you kill folks that look like you? And he says, when I look in the mirror, I see myself and I see others. And when I look in the mirror, I don't like what I see, so I want to eradicate it. So at the end of the day, I wonder if subliminally we don't like what we see, or if that at the end of the day, we just don't have respect for one another the way we should have each other's back. I just don't think we have it. I just think that we become lax with respect for one another.
You know, and it's just like Malcolm said, you know, who taught us to hate one another? Who taught us to hate ourselves? You know, a lot of this is the conditioning that has been put into us from slavery times, from back into times when they conditioned us not to trust one another. You know, this is what really I laughed about something, and somebody's going to have to explain this to me one day. Slaves could not read, but the first book they ever tried to make us read was the Bible. Now, I want to say that again. Slaves could not read. But the first book they really wanted us to read was the Bible. So you know, I have to ask myself, and then they would always justify the way they treated us through biblical scripture. You know, so family, when are we going to rise up and begin to get to a place that we teach one another how we can do better? You know, the sad thing is, and Fatim, I say this all the time. I say this in media. I say this in business. I say it in so many different avenues of life. When we accomplish something, we do not share that information, but some of us don't share it at all. Others only share it with a select few. A lot of us love being in the spotlight and being the only source for whatever it is that you're getting. And we don't make blueprints to hand to other folk to say, listen, I want you to be just as successful, if not more successful than me, but I have figured out a way to make this work. And I like to share this with you where you can make it work too. We covet stuff in our culture, in our community, a great deal.
Crabs in the barrel mentality.
Wow.
That's the crabs in the barrel mentality, in the sense I get up and I don't help my brother and sister out. You know, I want it for myself. Or if I help someone else, they're going to utilize it against me, or they're going to look good and I'm not going to look good. It's self-hate. It's self-hate. It's the ego. It's just a lot of things. But I want to go back to something, and I don't want to use the word correction, but I just want to add something. You said slaves could not read. No, slaves could read. What the problem was is that they were brought over to a foreign land that they didn't know the language. So they didn't know the language. They knew about God. They may not have called God God. They may have called God Yahweh. They may have called God Allah.
Right.
But at the end of the day, they could read. They spoke Hebrew, Aramaic, Arabic, and other dialects of Africa, of West Africa. So at the end of the day, they could read. They could communicate. They had manhood training.
Right.
People built pyramids before slaves got to America. You see, so at the end of the day, they made it seem that we were unintelligent, but we were intelligent folks. But we were in a foreign land with a foreign language. And when you look at a foreign language, you go to Africa and try to read the Holy Quran right now. You go to Africa and try to communicate with the dialect there. So at the end of the day, when you bring up people over here, they don't understand why they're here, where they're at, how they can get back, and they're hearing other things put on them. They honestly are being retaught from infancy, even though they are adults, and that is passed on. So when you are called nigger and coon and ugly and this, that, and other, that's embedded. That's embedded in you till you start calling yourself that. That's why you said that self-hatred, that post-traumatic slave syndrome, because it was beaten into us.
Right.
Sorry to get passionate about it, but that's why we are in the situation we are in. But when we wake up, we have had too many people who have come to us as warners, as leaders, that have shown us and pointed us in the right direction, prophets in the Bible, this, that, and the other. And if we can't get it together, then the bottom line is, if somebody ain't got their foot on your neck to make you kill your brother and sister, then it's your fault.
That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. You know, hold it. You know, I don't want to rub folk the wrong way, but I want to be as much.
Man, be
Well,
truthful, brother.
hold it.
Be
I'm going to
truthful.
be straight with it. I'm going to give it straight, no chaser tonight.
Yeah.
You know, we should be a lot further than we are. One of our biggest issues is we get caught up with the HNIC syndrome, and we get caught up with, and this is funny because I heard somebody say this weekend, like with the HBCU culture and the lifestyle. If you've ever went to a HBCU, you know the craziest thing is when people go to HBCUs, but then try to act like they ain't never been to a HBCU when they get around other blacks that went to PWIs. So you know it's crazy because it's funny to me when you see people who don't show love to the culture that got them where they're at. A lot of folks that have degrees from the Howards, from the Morgan States, from the Hamptons, from the Southerns, from the Gramblin's, from the FAMU's, you know, they are where they're at because of the degrees that they received from these great institutions, from the Texas Southerns, from the Langstons, and I can go on with different HBCUs that people have received degrees from. But then sometimes once they get into society, they act as if they know absolutely some, not all. Some will act as if like here, we have Southern. We have people that graduate from Southern. If you saw them from the paraphernalia that they wear, from the school they show up to support the most, and let's just say in football season, the games they go to more LSU games than they go to Southern games. You know, that saddens me when it seems to be we have a problem ourselves with ourselves.
Well, Joe, let's look at it for what it really is. You know, and this is interesting because I don't know the culture because I'm in Florence, South Carolina, and my mom's was born down here. I don't know the culture down here, and I see they had a homecoming of Wilson High School here, and Wilson is majority a black school down here, and the people turned out for the homecoming football game this past Friday, and if Wilson wins or lose, the people come out and support it. I can't explain why they would support that. I don't want to just say some schools are Division I and other schools are Division this, because it doesn't matter, Division II or Division III. If you support it, you support it. I don't know if racism is there. I don't know if self-hatred is there. I don't know the dynamics of that aspect of it. That's why I'm saying integration, the way it was done, we thought by integrating into a burning house, integrating into white folks' society, we thought that by doing that, we would benefit from the things that they receive on a higher level. It didn't work like that. And then what did we lose? What did we lose? We lost black taxi cabs. We lost a Negro League. We lost black companies. We lost our own because we wound up integrating, think that integration would bring us better. And we lost our own self-worth and integrated into a system that we unfortunately had to rely on them as time went on because we got rid of our own businesses. So at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. It's a mindset. And if you don't know that you are walking into quicksand, you walk blindly into it. The question is, if there's a way to pull yourself out the quicksand, are you able to see that light to be able to pull yourself out that quicksand? If you're not, then you stay in that quagmire and you wind up drowning.
That is so true. And you know, family, one of the things I think we really need to start doing is each one teach one. And we have to be receptive to understand that there are those of us who, because of the geographical area that they live in, because of the upbringing and the education that was presented before them, they may have a better knowledge of self than some other folks in other regions. Doesn't mean that anybody is better than the other. It just means one has maybe more knowledge. Somebody said, "Where your bell at?" There you go. There you go. There you go.
I don't give myself a bell unless my co-host say, "Fatine, give yourself a bell."
Hey, so the bell is there, Rhonda, and we need to really start getting into the conversation of how do we begin to network amongst ourselves to
Yes.
get ourselves to a level where we are looking to other folks to be the consumers and to be the employees of the things that we establish. Because many a times, what other cultures look to us to be is the consumer base
Uh-oh,
for
Joe, look
them.
like you.
You froze up, Fatim. Are you coming back? Fatim was about to say something. I feel it was something big. Um, Hopefully, Fatim will come back. But family, that is really something that we need to really honestly start asking ourselves in more than one way. You know, what can we do to be more proactive into us pushing our entrepreneurs, our business owners, and establishing more? It shouldn't be the unicorn in the room when you are African American and you are a multimillionaire. That shouldn't be a unicorn in the room. We should make that the norm. And Fatim is still froze up, so hopefully he'll be back in a minute. He logged out and probably will log back in. Family. What do we do? What do we do? The truth about the matter, and from my perspective, is that we have to start controlling the narrative. I was in a meeting in the area that I'm in where I saw some people begin to control the narrative. And even when you begin to control the narrative, we are the biggest critics of self. We're the first ones that'll tell you, the first folks that will tell you things won't work, or can't work, or it's not possible, are those who look like you. And I know that can be very discouraging. That can be very discouraging when you say, oh my God, um, I'm trying my best to be my best, and I'm trying to implore to you to ask you, what directions do I need to help myself be better? And then the same people that you're running for to get advice to help you rise, maybe sometimes undercover haters who necessarily don't want to see you make it to anywhere. And that's sad. That is terribly sad. And I don't know how we fix that. And I'm waiting for Fatim to come back, because this can't be the Joe Dupree show night. But family, and speaking of which, while Brother Fatim is coming back, uh, let me share something with you. If you like to join in on the video side, so if you have your phone, and there he is back. My brother from another mother is back.
What happened to the
Uh,
what happened to the hard line, and I had to jump on the Wi-Fi. That's interesting.
Uh, sometimes that's how I go. So
Yeah.
so now that Fatim is back, and let me throw this up. If you would like to join in tonight, all you got to do is type this into your browser. You can go to your phone's internet and type this in, and we will happily bring you in and get your opinion, and you can say what you want to say. It's also in the feed. I put it in the feed. So all you got to do is click on it, follow the instructions, and you can also join in and not only type what you want to say, like Rhonda. If you really want to join us in on video and say what you want to say, hey, you can say what you want to say to our audience outside of just typing it into the feed. Um, Family, let me talk to you about the platform we're on right quick, because I got to give our sponsor a little love. We are on with StreamYard, and StreamYard is not the only. There's many different systems out there, and I put the StreamYard logo. It's up in the right. You see the duck with the headset on. Listen, family, go to www.streamyards.com. You can definitely find out if you would like to do a video podcast like Fatim and I do. Hey, they have tools that you can do it. I love them. They do a great job with the team and myself. They can do a great job for you. And I highly recommend that you give them a try if you would like to do this. And do your thing. I love the lights there. Fatim, I love the lights. I don't know how they go on and off, but I love the
Yeah, I'm in the
lights.
conference room at one of the colleges down here in Florence. I just want to comment on something that you said, and I saw that Rhonda Hairston said exactly, Brother Joe, because of demographics, some were educated differently, not taken away from the culture, no matter what region we are in. And I just think a mindset, and the reason why I said a mindset because I remember when I believe it was the 90s, and I was in South Carolina, and I was talking with my cousin, and I was looking I was working in computers at that particular time, and I was in radio, but not in the capacity that I was in now. And I came down here, and I watched black folks and white folks, and some white folks dealt with black folks in a way that blacks had a place, meaning how they talk, how they did certain things. I remember even one of my cousins said, "You just gonna walk up and ask them?" Yeah, what's the problem? Oh, a lot of us don't do that. What do you mean you don't do that? So I don't know if it's education more than of how a region and how people tend to live and look at in the culture of that place. But I'm a northern guy, and racism exists everywhere. Let's just talk
Right.
about it. Dr. King talk
Right.
about the racism up north was different than the racism in the south. The racism in the south was direct, in your face kind of racism. He talked about that racism in the north was a little bit more sophisticated, embedded into average life. At the end of the day, you had some racists that would smile in your face and stab you in the back. At the end of the day, in the South, you know that if they didn't like you and you turn your back, they'll stab you in the back. If you ain't turn your back, they try to stab you in the chest. So at the end of the day, regions, and then the type of education and how people put in. I just know in the North, they tried to give us better. We had a lot of programs that help, even in schools, that help minority, Black and brown and Hispanic children. I don't know what happened in the South with that, but I do know that because you was in a different region didn't mean you was smarter. My brother grew up in the South and was highly intelligent, smarter than I was. So I don't put it on smartness because of a region. I just look at the mindset and how they go about things and how people thrive and how the support mechanism or in it may be better in certain areas than others, but that don't mean people are smarter because they come from a certain region.
I totally agree with that. But on the other side of that, Fatim, we have to be real.
Mhm.
Many a times, there is a culture difference amongst people of color in this country because of where you were raised and how you were raised.
Correct.
The regions are different.
Yes.
For the longest, where you're at, New York, was the mecca of knowledge. What I call the knowledge. New York, for example, you had 7%ers, 5%ers. You had different folks with different type of not only spiritual philosophies but philosophies period about food, about how you ate, about how you cooked. So that's where we've got to take the best of all of us. We really need to start taking the best of all of us, the best philosophies from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south, and begin to cultivate us as a people to take the best of us to make us rise to a level where we can display the best of us and be the best of us. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Correct.
I'm terribly disappointed in seeing, um, between the pulpit pimps, the people who posture and position for power, the folks who smile in your face only to get either your contacts or the people where they can begin to build off of your ideas, their dream. Or are they really not building a dream? They're really leeching your dream and trying to beat you to a spot. You know, we've got to do better as a people. Period.
We always had people that preyed on us, that preyed, preyed on us. At the end of the day, I'm not going to say, oh, every minister was a
I
charlatan.
didn't
I'm
say
not
all.
getting it.
I didn't say
No, no,
all.
no.
No, no.
But in any and everything, you had people that took advantage of the weak. This is about survival. This is about the fittest and the strongest, and those that are weak, they put themselves in a I'm not saying they put themselves in a vulnerable position. They're in a vulnerable position, and people that realize that wind up taking advantage of them. I'll give you an example of this. A lot of times we say, we need to do better for each other. The Black community, we don't have money. but we could force you. We can sure buy Jordans, and we can buy the expensive coat and the expensive clothes. We can buy the PlayStations. We can spend money. So don't tell me that the Black community, don't have money. We misuse our money, and folks realize that. They want us to be consumers. If we become more entrepreneurs and less consumers like that, you understand, like that? If we became like some in the Jewish community that really became entrepreneurs and wind up pushing out their products to everybody that consumed off of them, then we would be in a better predicament. We would be in a better, not predicament, better position. But at the end of the day, when we are just consumers, we can't save anything. We don't see the vision of building anything. And all we do is we rent, and then we die, and we have nothing. We have nothing to leave to our children.
Oh, that man, ring the bell for yourself on that one. We've got to learn to position ourselves to transfer wealth and prosperity to our future generations. You know, we can't keep on transferring poverty to our future generation. We cannot connotate or associate hustling with us being hustlers. And I mean illegal hustlers. You know, you were just talking about marijuana, the marijuana game. Now it sickens me because they always want to change the rules.
Yes.
They always want to change the rules. You know, soon as they figure out a way that they can profit off of what was illegal and they were locking us up with, all of a sudden they stopped making it illegal. And I wonder how many people who are non-African American have became overnight millionaires and billionaires selling weed.
Oh,
While we look at the number of African Americans who are incarcerated for selling weed.
Let's talk about, I can't talk about Chicago. I can't talk about Florida, but I can talk about New York. The number game, you got to realize with the crime families. I'm talking about the Italian crime families at the height of the 30s and the 40s and the 50s in New York. They ran the number game. But in Harlem, started and then in Bed-Stuy, because Bed-Stuy and Brownsville, which is black now, was not always black. Once these black communities started to establish their own way of playing the numbers, and they pushed the Italians out of that game, they were making money illegally. Illegally, with the number game, they took it over from the Italians. They took it over from the mobsters, and they were making money.
But it was illegal when the Italians were doing it too.
Oh,
right?
it was illegal when the Italians doing it. But when the blacks and the Hispanics, when they started making money, guess what? Then they start to legalize numbers. By legalizing numbers, they push a lot of the black and brown. There's still a couple of folks that still do it, but they don't make the kind of money they were doing before. Now, I'm not advocating gambling, but what I am saying is that when we play the game, there's two sets of rulers to measure the same damn inch. That's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Anytime that we get in the game and we start thriving, they always find a way to get in the game, take it away from us, and monopolize it and fun and a way to benefit financially from it. So that's what I'm saying. We always get the okie doke put on us. That's why sometimes we don't. That's why sometimes we don't share these things with other people, because when other people find out, they wind up using it and then using it against us.
Well, we have to be honest. Okay, let's just talk about. I'm gonna bring up three things, and I want everybody on this feed to really think about this. Think about our music. Think about our music. Google right now how many of our artists are on their own labels that are owned by folks that look like us. Look, ask yourself, Google how many radio stations are owned by us. Now, when I say owned by us, that's not hearing our voice coming over the microphone. Now, it's 14 minutes after 5 in the afternoon time. And yes, you're jamming to that brand new one from Pooh Shiesty. No, 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 no. I'm not saying
You
that.
still
Cause,
got it, Joe. You still got it, my brother.
cause that I had to throw that one. Oh,
Pooh
that
Shiesty.
ain't
I
what I'm
said
talking
that.
about.
Somebody gonna grab that name, brother. Pooh, you better patent that and then Pooh
Now that brother
Shiesty.
he already out there.
Oh,
But you know,
okay.
the question is, how many, if you Google it, how many do we own? See, here's my question. If you start asking yourself this, how many grocery stores do we own? How many, and I'm not saying that we have an individual on the executive committee. I'm saying own. How many radio stations that play black music are owned by black folk? Okay, how many black artists are on black labels owned by black folks? How many, hold it, watch this one. How many black nightclubs that black people go and party in is the building and the whole establishment owned by black folks? You know, family, somewhere ominously in the shadows is somebody who don't look like us who's really making the real money. And we've got to change that.
And it's so
Period.
sad. And it's so sad because I look at the station, the Monica 107.5 WBLS that was owned by the Suttons. And the Sutton was a black family. It's not owned by black folks no more. At the end of the day, shout out to the owners of Radio One, Urban One now,
Right.
Reach Media. Reverend Sharpton and myself work for Reach Media, TV One. Kathy Hughes and Alfred Liggins. They are black. They're black owned. Radio One, Urban One owns over 50 plus radios across the country here. And I'm glad that I work for a black company. I've been working for a black company almost 16 years there at the end of the day. So I feel proud of working for them. I just looked up a thread. Me and Steve Harvey was texting, and I didn't know that a good friend of mine was flying Steve Harvey around in his private plane. And his name, unfortunately, he passed, is Greg Calhoun. Greg Calhoun is from the South. He went to apply to work in white grocery stores, and he was turned down. He was turned down, Joe. But what is new? What is new? When a black young man's trying to get a job and white folks turn him down. Well, you know what Greg Calhoun did when he became successful? He bought all them damn grocery stores that turned him down.
Mm.
And then his children went to school and then wind up taking business so they can get in their father's business. Greg told me this sitting right next to me. He said, I did not expect my kids. I did not push them in any direction to get into the business to follow me, but they realized my dream, my passion, and wealth building and family building and what we need to do as a family. A family. So that's what it's about, man. And we gotta, you said it. This is a show that we gotta say to one another, brother, sister, what can I do to help you? What can I do to help myself? What can we do to help one another? And once we get there, what can we do to reach back and pass that baton to those people that are behind us? Because that's how I'm in this position. Thank God for the late, great Bob Slade, because if he didn't open this door and pass the baton to me, I would not be in this position. Before he passed, he opened that door over almost 30 some years ago to allow me in this door. So that's what it's about, brother.
Right, right. We've got to be looking for the next. We keep on asking ourselves why, when election time comes in certain regions of the country where there is a lot of people of color, there's nobody of color running for any of the offices. We ask ourselves certain questions over and over again. And I ask myself, what do you contribute to the betterment of your people? Not to the betterment of you. Okay, wait a minute. And I want to differentiate this. The betterment of your people, the greater good of all, not just taking care of you and yours. See, we got a bad problem of doing that. We got a bad problem. The only folks I'm going to take care of is me and mine. How many people have you helped that cannot in any shape, form, or fashion pay you back for what you've done for them? That's my question.
Yeah.
And we've got to wake up. We've got to wake up. I feel like Spike Lee right now screaming in School Days, wake up. Because let me tell you something, there is a storm coming. There is a storm on the horizon. And if we don't get it together, this storm is going to take a lot of black and brown folk out politically, socially, economically, health-wise. If you don't wake up, it's going to be it's going to be rough.
Oh yeah, it's interesting, Joe. Before I met you, we talked about this. We talked about this back in the '80s, in the '90s, about preparedness and being prepared mentally, financially, and physically, because we talked about days that there would be a pestilence out here. We didn't know it would be COVID, but we knew that
Right.
there would be something out here, because we knew what was happening. We even it was going to happen naturally or man-made or through chemical or biological warfare, that there was going to be something out here and that we needed to be prepared. We needed to be prepared if we couldn't get to the grocery stores and had to self-preservation for ourselves, how to live off the land. And we talked about these things, but how many people listen? And you know why? And that's why we have to talk about this, because we got to be careful how we criticize. A lot of folks don't listen. It's not because they don't want to listen. It's just that we're not in the planning stages, because we are surviving. We're living like roaches. We live day to day instead of living with a vision for tomorrow. That's the problem. We got to be able to live for a vision. But when you're caught up living check to check, or don't even have a check, and you're trying to survive, it's hard to plan for the future, because you don't even know what your future is going to be.
Well, Fatim, it was clearly stated by a good friend of mine a long time ago. He said it's not in any shape, form, or fashion that people of color are not intelligent. He said one of the biggest shortcomings people of color have is we can't see past 72 hours. We cannot see past 72 hours. We live for the weekend. We cannot see past 72 hours. It's like our vision span is 72 hours for not all of us, but a great deal of us. That's why, watch this. That's why we will stand in line for hours for some Jordans, or for whatever it is that make us get that physical shine to one another. It might be Jordans, it might be a dress, it might be a certain item, but we will stand in line for hours to get certain items so that we look good amongst one another. But we will not stand in line for hours to get education that we need to be more financially stable. We will not stand in line for hours to vote, not understanding that we've got to do better. We've got to get to a place where we understand how to govern ourselves. And I know this is a very uncomfortable and not a popular conversation. Here's why. A lot of us love being ignorant. Ignorance is bliss. A lot of us love saying, well, I didn't know that. A lot of us love saying, guess what? I don't want to catch the fish, clean the fish, batter the fish, fry the fish, serve the fish, and then clean up after everybody after they eat the fish. A lot of us just want to sit at the table and get served.
Right. Let me talk to the brothers and sisters that is conscious. Let me talk to the brothers and sisters that do stand in the line to vote, not only for President Obama, but get out there and exercise that God-given right. Let me talk to those people that stand on those lines to get their children into special schools, because at times when we look at it, we look at a group of folks that are not doing right, and sometimes we continue to talk to them, but we don't talk to the choir that we are sometimes preaching to, because those folks that are doing the job out there, we don't commend them. I applaud you for the job that you are doing out there, and we have to continue to uplift you all, because if we don't uplift you all and then you fall down on the job, then what do we have? Then we start to move backwards. We got to build on what we have. If we're building a pyramid and we're halfway to the top, we don't look back at those individuals that's not helping to build a pyramid and then stop building the pyramid and come down there and address them. No, we continue to address those that are moving in the direction that we're moving in to build. And hopefully through our example and our one-on-one and teaching other folks that they will join us. But those folks that are doing the right thing, I ring the bell for you, because sometimes we don't address you all. And the reason why we don't address you is the same way the devil don't address the bad. When you on that bad track, the devil don't bother you. But when you decide to get on that straight and narrow, that's when the devil start throwing little landmines at you, start throwing little things at you to get you off track. So folks, let's talk again. Yes, we know that we can do better, but I also want to say to those folks that are doing the job, we applaud you, we thank you, we uplift you. And we got to continue to uplift and talk about you, because I think the more we show examples like that, I think we reach those folks that are not doing the job that they need to do. And hopefully those that are doing the job will become an inspiration for those that are not doing the job and inspire them to get on that right track.
That was great. Fatim, each one has to teach one. Each one has to back up each one, and we've got to, somebody said something to me today that made me laugh. They said, isn't it funny that when we do get in a position of power and we can begin to bring about change and we start doing what folks who don't look like us do, all of a sudden there's a problem. When they've been doing the good old boy system for years, they hire who they want. It's not because they're qualified. It's because that's so-and-so's child, or that's, I've seen people with high school degrees, get hired for high position that cats with college degrees couldn't get. And the good old boy system has always been in play, and it has always been prevalent. But it's funny that when we get in a position and we start doing to them what they have done to us, there seems to be a problem. I posted a long time ago, let's see how you react when I pull a you on you.
Right.
Right. And family, we've got to really, first of all, and the next show will be about this. I'm going to bring a mental health professional in here. We've got to talk about, first of all, Black men need to encourage other Black men. Black men need to encourage other Black women. And Black men and Black women need to be the example for our Black children. Because somebody said something to me today that really hurt my soul. They said, well, I see so much violence and this and that and these and those. I'm like, most children, as they grow, will only be what they have seen. And if all they saw was a certain lifestyle, they believe, I said, now some can break out of it, but most will believe that's all I know. If I saw somebody beat on my mama, I feel like because you beat on my mama, it's okay for me to beat on somebody else's mama. We've got to wake up and understand, and we got to protect. Hold, I got to say this, and I'm going to pass it back to you, Fatim. Family, we got to start in the Black community protecting our gates. We got to protect our eye gates, what we seeing. We got to protect our ear gates, what we hearing. And we got to protect our mouth gates, what's coming out of us. Because you reap what you sow. And you got to ask yourself, what have we been sowing? Brother Fatim.
What I'm going to say now, I don't know if this connects the dots, but it just made me think back of like when my cousin or you're a little younger than me, Joe, that watched Westerns. And
hold on, Fatim. Wait a minute. A little younger, what? 2-3 years?
Okay. I gotta give you that, man. Yeah. So okay. So
they seem like I was juvie.
Okay. So matter of fact, my cousin is in our age. I meant to say my cousin's older than me, and those that watch those Westerns, of course, some of them were ratchet with them, but I'm trying to draw a correlation to something. Is that when they watch this on television, they realize it was fiction. And at the end of the day, because I look in the South, a lot of people of color have been gun owners. But the crime rate, you know, every community has crime. So don't say black, but black folks wasn't shooting each other at the rate that some are shooting themselves now. You look in Chicago, New York, you look at Philadelphia, and it's up. But then I sit there and I look at some of the rap records and how they ridicule one another and disrespect one another and this, that, and I'll do this too. And then I look back at Grand Theft Auto. We didn't have games like that coming up where it was violent. You know, you pull somebody out the car and you shooting them, or you raping them, or you doing this and that. And I know you're a gamer. At the end of the day, it's the difference from Grand Theft Audio and then an army thing, and you in a fight in an army in a game. But what I'm trying to say is, I watch the folks now and I see they act out art. You know, I see them imitating what they see on television, in the movies, and lyrics, and in games, to the point that there's no remorse or anything when it comes down to the prey on someone else's life. It's like they don't have a soul. They don't have a mindset. I've never seen or looked back and before and seen a lot of funerals shot up. I see more people get shot at funerals now than I ever heard of. So something is wrong out here. And it's not, again, it's not only our community, but our concern is with our community. So we're not weaponizing it. It's just that that's our concern. So that's why we're zeroing in on it at the end of the day. Hey, I just don't understand. I look at the music. I look at the culture. I look at what we talked about, love. We talked about family in the music in the 70s and the 80s. You don't have that now. You have more destruction than anything out here. I just don't know where we are headed as a people. And then on top of that, you still have racism out here. I just don't know. This is not a good match out here. And I just don't know where we're headed with this.
Well, for team, we got to be real. Follow the money. I tell everybody, if you really want to know what's going on, follow the money. At the end of the day, it saddens me when I personally know people in the industry. I know some of these individuals, and I'm not going to name no name personally, that are college grads, and half the life that they rapping and talk about, they ain't never lived that life themselves. They haven't. They haven't. They weren't raised in. They don't know about cooking. They don't know about whipping it on the stove. No, they And see, that's the thing. We've got to get to a place where we teach our young black men that you are kings, and these are how kings conduct themselves. We have to teach our young black women these are queens, and these are how queens conduct themselves. And somewhere along the line, we've got to debunk that black men and black women can't be successful as a family unit. We've got to really start debunking a lot of this mess that are being fed into our people to make them feel like because of the melanin of your skin, you less than. See, the problem is, if we really want to be honest, Fatim, there are still people out there that look at you and I, no matter how many degrees we have, no matter how much money we have, no matter what we have, they still believe because of the melanin of our skin, they're better than us.
I just want to say this. We got to learn to teach folks the difference from fear and respect.
Okay, come on.
What do I mean from that? So if there's a guy, if there's a guy in school and you know he carries a gun, you may be, ooh, yo, Supreme, he carries a gun. Wow, he carries a gun. Don't mess with Supreme. You understand? But you know Supreme is not going in the right order at the end of the day. You understand? And there is somebody else out there that don't fear Supreme. Or even if they fear Supreme, they'll wind up shooting him in the back of his head. But what about the kid that has the respect? The respect. We got to teach our kids that not only doesn't carry a gun, but is doing the right thing, but has the respect of the gang, that can walk up to that gang leader and all those gang folks and speak to them and get them. They was getting ready to beat up somebody, and that person walks up to them out of respect and say, yo, that's so-and-so brother. Nah, you can't do that. We'll handle this in another way. And that gang look at it and say, yo, that's Johnson there. Yo, Johnson brings it, man. He brings it in a respectful way. Leave it alone. We got to teach our folks what true power is in our community and what true power is. And once we get that, and when we can make that power, that's why, and I say this, and I've used two white characters. I merged two white characters. I merged the intelligence of Richie Cunningham and the coolness of Fonzie and merged it together to become the intelligent, cool person that I didn't have to be the one out there doing negative things, but had to respect the others and still doing the right thing. And that's what I did. And it took me further and made me survive the tough streets of Brooklyn, Queens, and New York City, brother.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, family, listen, it's been another community conversation. We wanted to plant the seeds of conversation for you to go back and look at this, share this with a friend, tell a friend to tell a friend. We only want to plant the seeds and begin to have the sparks of the conversation that you can share amongst yourself. Rhonda said that I must have been a fly on the wall and heard a conversation that she had, and we need more folks beginning to communicate and talk. I'm not here to tell you how to think. I'm just here telling you that you need to think. And we want you to start thinking. And listen, don't trust everything, but research. Don't trust it, research it. Say, look, I heard what he said, but let me make sure that he got his I's dotted and his T's crossed. Because many a times we may get misinformation that was accidentally given. I'll be the first one to say that, hey, family, we've got to start really dotting our I's and crossing our T's and calling out bad information when it's bad information. We need to say, look, no offense to whom you got this from, but that's not right. So, Brother Fatim, I'm going to let you have some closing words. I'm going to have some closing words, and we're going to call it a night.
I'm going to just real quick. I just always talk about, and I've showed before, pick up a book. I'm going to just say this. I'm not going to recommend a specific. Well, I'm going to bring up one of the things that I did, and I'll say to you folks, if we come from kings and queens, we come out of Africa, and the Garden of Eden was in Africa, and that the prophets were black and brown, go get a Bible that represents and looks like us. Go get a Bible, because we need to deal with this show. And this is what I'm going to talk about on one of my shows, how the white image of Jesus played into the slave mentality over black folks. So get that book. For those that would Bible, folks, pick up a book that you didn't know. Even if it's minor, go get a book about what black folks have contributed here in America, the inventions. Pick up a book and about Nat Turner that rebelled against slave owners. Pick up a book that you can learn something from that will encourage you to gain knowledge, but also pass that knowledge on to other people. So tonight, I'm not trying to be fancy with my words. I'm just trying to say, what am I doing to make a difference with you? Pick up a book, Google something, learn something that you didn't know, become better. You're not dead today because you learned something today. That's what I'm recommending for you to do, my brothers and sisters.
Man, that was a strong word from Brother Fatim. Once again, you can check Brother Fatim out, WBLS in New York. Also, he does a great deal of work with the United Urban League, with the National Action Group, with Dr. Sharpton. Man, family, let me tell y'all something. I just want y'all to continue to believe, dream, believe, grow, and share. That's it, and don't be ashamed of who you are or where you came from, because all it takes is one move, and your whole situation can completely change. Look, we appreciate you for tuning in to Community Conversations. We'll be back on. I need to share this with Brother Fatim. We will be back on next Tuesday. We'll just be on at a different time. We'll be an hour. If Brother Fatim can, we're gonna move it an hour back. It's gonna be 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock his time, if we can put that together. If not, we may have to postpone the
I can
show.
do it. Okay. We'll
Okay,
talk
so
about it. We'll
so
talk
we're
about
gonna
it. We'll talk about it.
yeah, just keep it locked on to your social media. Listen, we really appreciate you tuning in. Share this with a friend. Tell a friend. Tell a friend. We're out until next Tuesday. Peace, love, and all the good stuff. We out. Peace.
Peace.